Letitia James went on to Areva Martin's podcast, to which she claims that the allegations are baseless, that Trump is on a revenge tour to go after all of his enemies, and he is just now getting around to the J's. There is so much talk about Trump and so little talk about the man, Sam Antar, a Democrat who brought the mortgage fraud claims to the forefront. However, that's not the main reason why we're here. We're here to discuss her and Kathy Hochul teaming up with 11 other Democratic-led states to sue the Trump administration for imposing illegal tariffs. Welcome to Nelly Miranda. Before we get into this video, please be sure to like and subscribe as it helps our channel. Now let's get into it. But first, we have to take a listen to Letitia James speaking on Areva Martin's podcast.
Are on Donald Trump's adversary list and that he's quote unquote coming for you. The Federal Housing Finance Agency sent a criminal referral letter to the Department of Justice just last week saying that you falsified records about real estate properties you own and that you should be prosecuted for mortgage fraud. What do you say to those very serious allegations that Trump and team have lobbed against you, Attorney General?
So, Areva, it's great to see you, and it's an honor and a privilege to be on your podcast. And my response is, it's baseless. Listen, Donald Trump is on a revenge tour, and he finally got up to the J's. And so it's my time. And so the allegations are baseless. I'm not going to litigate them in the media. We will respond at the appropriate time in the appropriate fashion. I just want all of you to know that I again, stand up each and every day to defend the rule of law and the Constitution and to do my job without fear and or without favor. And we will continue to make sure that we protect vulnerable and marginalized populations here in the great state of New York and all individuals, obviously, who love liberty.
You know, and I completely understand. Thank you for that response. I know you can't litigate and shouldn't be litigating just these, as you call them, baseless charges against you. There's not even been any kind of formal announcement of charges against you. So I know it's way too soon to talk about it, but it does seem like a tit for tat. So you prosecute civilly Donald Trump for financial fraud, essentially, get this historic $450 million judgment against him. And now, as you said, he gets to the J's on his adversary list and he comes after you for essentially some form of financial fraud. There has to be some irony in this for those that are watching this play out in real time.
So, yeah, you've got some of his followers, these MAGA Republicans, very conservative individuals who obviously have done a lot of digging into my background and have come up with, some baseless allegations. And again, it's in response to the fact that we secured a $454 million judgment against Donald Trump for exaggerating his assets because he inflated his assets to secure favorable insurance and mortgage terms. And now they want to turn the tide on me. And again, we will respond accordingly. And I want everyone to know that I took an oath to the Constitution, to the rule of law, to New Yorkers, and that's what I do each and every day.
I must say, she appears very calm and collected, like she doesn't have anything to worry about. Like she's just waiting for this to come to pass. Literally cooler than the AC. As for Areva Martin, a black woman and a fellow lawyer, it's clear as day that she has an alliance to Letitia James, who is also a black woman and a lawyer. Because there is no way she read these allegations, looked into it and said, sis, you've done nothing wrong. They're just after you for no reason at all. Anyways, Letitia James and Governor Kathy Hochul are teaming up with 11 other Democratic-led states to sue the Trump administration for imposing illegal tariffs. The argument is that Trump imposed sweeping tariffs under the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, also known as the IEEPA, without congressional approval. According to their press release, these tariffs have caused severe economic damage and are raising costs for American consumers. That sounds pretty dramatic, right? But Trump's tariffs has barely been in place for a few months when they filed this lawsuit. Like, they didn't even let the policy play out. Usually before things get better, they appear way worse. So we have to give it some time. And not to mention, many economists agree that the strategic tariffs were long overdue to protect American industries and address years of lopsided trade practices. So why are they acting like the world is coming to an end because of this? You know, we have to read it together. So let's begin. Attorney General James and Governor Hochul announced a lawsuit against Trump administration for imposing illegal tariffs. Now, this came out April 23rd, 2025, and it says, New York Attorney General Letitia James and Governor Kathy Hochul today announced that the New York and a coalition of 11 other states are suing the Trump administration for illegally imposing unprecedented tax hikes on Americans in the form of tariffs issued under the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, IEEPA. The Trump administration's IEEPA tariffs raise tax on imports from nearly every country on earth, including America's closest allies and trading partners, and they have already caused severe economic damage. The lawsuit filed by Attorney General James and a coalition of attorneys general argues that Congress has not granted the president the authority to impose these tariffs, and therefore the administration violated the law by imposing them through executive orders, social media posts, and agency orders. The coalition seeks a court order halting these IEEPA tariffs, including the worldwide tariffs that were paused on April 9, and preventing the Trump administration from enforcing or implementing them. Do you see how they threw social media posts in there? Like, Trump got on his X feed and tweeted, "Hey China, these tariffs are coming." I'm thinking 125%. Sounds good, bro? The president does not have the power to raise taxes on a whim, but that's exactly what President Trump has been doing with these tariffs, said Attorney General James. Donald Trump promised that he would lower prices and ease the cost of living, but these illegal tariffs will have the exact opposite effect on American families. His tariffs are unlawful, and if not stopped, they will lead to more inflation, unemployment, and economic damage. President Trump's reckless tariffs have skyrocketed costs for consumers and unleashed economic chaos across the country. New York is standing up to fight back against the largest federal tax hike in American history, said Governor Kathy Hochul. Attorney General James and I are partnering on this litigation on behalf of New York consumers because we can't let President Trump push our country into a recession. Where was this energy when Biden was in office? Gas was dang near $6 a gallon, and no one even tried to come save us from Bidenomics. So they're calling these tariffs the largest federal tax hike in American history, but tariffs aren't taxes. They're trade tools meant to level the playing field, especially when foreign countries have been slapping massive tariffs on U.S. goods for decades without any retaliation. At most, the IEEPA allows the president to impose tariffs in response to extraordinary threats or a specific emergency. However, since February, President Trump has been unilaterally imposing sweeping tariffs against America's closest trading partners. These tariffs expanded in a series of announcements in April to now cover nearly every country worldwide, including places that are not involved in international trade, such as the Heard and McDonald Islands, which have no known human inhabitants. In addition to the severe economic damage that President Trump's tariffs have already caused, the coalition warns that they could cause even more destruction if allowed to continue. The lawsuit argues the IEEPA tariffs will increase unemployment, raise inflation, and threaten Americans' wages by slowing economic growth. The president's tariffs will harm the states and their residents by making important goods ranging from electronics to building materials more expensive and scarce. These costs will severely impact New Yorkers. Economists estimate the increased tariffs will cost the average family thousands of dollars per year, and a report from the New York City comptroller estimated that a mild recession caused by the tariffs would lead to over 35,000 lost jobs in New York City alone. New York State agencies could end up paying over $100 million in extra cost due to tariffs increasing prices. Retaliatory tariffs imposed by Canada on the hundreds of millions of dollars in electricity that New York imports every year would cause New Yorkers' energy bills to spike. Across the state, small businesses that rely on imports are already reeling from the threats of higher prices and uncertainty caused by the administration's policies. In central New York, the Cortland Standard, one of the oldest family-owned newspapers in the country, announced it would cease publication in part due to an expected tariff on newsprint. Let's be honest. This lawsuit sounds less like a serious legal argument and more like a political stunt to fire up their base. Filing lawsuits against Trump gets them headlines, and she's probably hoping it will take some heat off of her for her mortgage fraud accusations. Don't look over here at my mortgage fraud, insurance fraud, and misuse of government funding. Look over there. Look over there. We're suing Trump. We're trying to help you all out. Can you not see that? James and Hochul claim they're protecting New Yorkers from an economic apocalypse, but conveniently leave out how New York's own policies have gutted small businesses long before these tariffs existed. And speaking of waste, they're worried about tariffs costing New York agencies $100 million. Meanwhile, they're spending billions on services for illegal migrants without batting an eye. I have saw with my own two eyes them getting free housing, food stamps, cash, healthcare, childcare, you name it. And here's another interesting thing. They're pushing the word retaliation very hard. They're trying to frame Trump's tariffs and other policies as some kind of personal vendetta. Like, this is strategic. They want retaliation bouncing around in the media so it colors every headline. Because when you hear something so many times, if you're not careful, you'll start to perceive it as truth. But never mind the fact that global trade naturally involves a give and take, and that countries like Canada has already hit us with tariffs long before Trump responded. But here's where their argument gets even weaker. The lawsuit talks about small businesses reeling from the mere threat of tariffs, not actual tariffs, expected tariffs, not tariffs that it's already here. The idea that tariffs might happen. They even cited a local newspaper called the Cortland Standard shutting down in anticipation of higher newsprint prices. Not because those prices actually rose, but because they're expecting it. No data, no hard numbers, just feelings. I have a bad feeling about this, so let me just shut down my business. Maybe, just maybe, if your business collapsed from the rumor of policy change, well, find something safe and risk-free to do. But I really don't think that's it. I think it's a matter of them hearing about this business closing and then saying, see, the Trump tariffs are causing small businesses, small family-owned businesses to shut down. He is hurting the very core of America. They're wild. The lawsuit filed in the United States Courts of International Trade asserts that President Trump has no authority to impose tariffs as he has. While the president has declared emergencies and invoked IEEPA to justify these tariffs, not once has any other president used IEEPA to impose tariffs like this in the 5 decades since it became law. As the coalition argues in the lawsuit, the law was not designed to allow the president to unilaterally impose worldwide tariffs indiscriminately. In addition, the coalition argues that the Trump administration has overstepped its authority and violated the Constitution and the Administrative Procedure Act by imposing these tariffs. All we ever hear is he has no authority to do this, he has no authority to do that. As a sitting president, what the hell can he do? With this lawsuit, the coalition is seeking a court order declaring the Trump administration's IEEPA tariff orders to be in violation of the law and ordering the administration to stop implementing or enforcing these tariffs. Joining Attorney General James in filing this lawsuit are the Attorneys General of Arizona, Colorado, Connecticut, Delaware, Illinois, Maine, Minnesota, Nevada, New Mexico, Oregon, and Vermont. This lawsuit is another hollow political move dressed up like a crusade for economic justice. It just shows how desperate Letitia James and her coalition are to score cheap wins against Trump while ignoring bigger crises happening right in their backyard. Anyways, we'll be following the story closely along with her mortgage and insurance fraud allegations, because we didn't forget. What are y'all thoughts on this? Let me know in the comments. Please be sure to subscribe to my channel so you don't miss any updates. Thanks so much for watching my video, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye.